Like, how about like Adrienne Barbeau? Wasn't it Adrienne Barbeau was her daughter Carol, and didn't she have like a set of twins at age 51?
That's funny you mentioned that. I was just reading that.
Yeah,
because
when in the 90s sometime, I think
it was 97.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, she had a set of twins at 51.
The reason that's interesting is that that's about the age Maude was supposed to be when she did the abortion episode, and everybody's like, that's silly. Maude wouldn't be pregnant at that age.
Well, there you go. Adrian proved them wrong.
And do you know which episode Maude feels was the worst episode?
You mean B. Arthur?
Yes, B. Arthur. You probably don't remember them all. I just read this.
I don't remember them all. I'm going to say, well, I know there was one where they break out. She was doing Mame with Lucille Ball. She had done the she had won a Tony for the Broadway musical with Angela Lansbury, and then they didn't cast Angela Lansbury in the movie. They cast Lucille Ball, but they cast her as Vera. And there was this one thing where they just break out in song about Mame, like no reference at all, just like they start breaking out in Mame. So I thought maybe that was
that bombed, right?
It did not do well. Yeah, they should have put Angela Lansbury in it.
Because her husband made her do that. He was the producer.
Gene Sachs,
That's funny.
Yeah, he directed the original Broadway. Yeah, he was a big Broadway producer or director too.
She felt it was the worst episode was the one where Walter, her husband, bought an organ.
Oh God!
I don't know if you remember in the 70s or had friends with parents, but it became this thing to buy an electric organ. You remember those where you push a button and it's like, here, a Western beat. Here.
Yes.
You can play along. You can play the organ.
Yeah, my Uncle Ray had one. My great uncle in Binghamton. He'd always have the organ. I'm like,
I had friends with it. You didn't like it? I wanted to get my hands on it and play.
Well, I guess I could never figure out how to play it, or I was never allowed long enough time to actually learn how to play it. Like, don't touch the organ.
You didn't have to learn, John.
Don't touch the organ. I like the Hawaiian. The Hawaiian beat was my favorite.
I know. You just hit the Hawaiian beat and just hit a few notes. Yeah. You didn't have to learn to play.
Yeah. But I wasn't allowed to. I was like, don't touch the organ. Don't touch the dog. Uncle Ray, and poor Uncle Ray, he had a tragic end. He was... Ray, like the house caught on fire and he died of smoke inhalation. He was like 91. Well, we've been telling him since 1975, get rid of that damn heating pad. That heating pad would like burn you, even in like 1975. And he must have left it plugged in on the couch, and
that's what caught on fire.
That's what started the fire. We've been telling
him. But he still had the heating pad from 1975.
Well, he wasn't going to sell it. You got to remember, like people like my grandfather
grew up in the Depression. I know
they grew up in the Depression. I mean, you think about it. The Depression hit when my grandfather was 8. Then you went through the Depression. Then you had to go through the war, which was rationing. So there was like nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I figure from the time my grandfather was 8 till the time he was 25. That's what they lived through. And they always thought it was going to come back. And so, no, they never got rid of anything.
I thought you were going to have a funny story about your uncle telling people not to touch anything. And you went straight to the tragic ending. It was like we saw it. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, well, we should have been surprised, but we've been telling him since 1975, get rid of that heating pad, Ray. It's going to start a fire. Were you allowed to touch it?
No.
It's the Seti Bimco Show. If you like chicken, you'll love this show.
Well, John.
Well, Tim.
This is the 5th episode of Seti Bimco, the show where we look back at high school calamities every other episode or so. This week we're going to look back at a favorite album. But first, I got to ask you how your week was.
It was very, let me see here. I didn't really have anything to do with my mom because my mom, one of her friends from Sarah, who's a nurse at the Packer, her daughter, I know she may have had the baby by now, but they were going up to Plattsburgh. And yesterday I got home from work. I don't know what was up with me. I got home from work. I worked my 5 to 2 shift, and I got home, and I just had to lay down. And it was about 2:30 when I laid down. And then I got up at 7:30, had a drink of water, used the bathroom. Then I went back to bed, and I got up at 3:30 this morning, which is my normal time getting up.
I hope you don't have long COVID.
I hope not either. And how was your week?
I went out to see a friend who visited town, and I went out with the New York Times bestselling author George O'Connor, who's going to be on the show next week.
I've heard of George O'Connor. I'm looking so forward to getting to talk to him. I'm very nervous, having not met him before.
Went out with him and a bunch of other people, and just 2 other people. We ate chicken wings, something we shouldn't eat at our age, but I don't ever eat it unless we go out with them. And it was in the outback in a tent because of COVID. Everybody's got tents outside because during COVID, they built these outdoor areas to eat in. And then when it got cold, they simply enclosed the areas. So they were enclosed outdoor areas that we were sitting in, but we were in a big tent.
Oh, okay.
And suddenly it became 22 degrees. So when I went to go home, I went to the Subway. Subway, for some reason, was closed. Everybody was coming up saying, Subway's closed. So then I just have to go to Uber, and the wind was blowing, and my fingers are freezing. It just, all of a sudden, it was like 0 degrees.
Yeah.
And it must have been a full moon, because a man walked up to me and said, "You look like an intelligent fellow. What do you think happens to us after we die?" And, I'm used to this happening sometimes, and I'm trying to walk away from him. But you got to stay where you are for your Uber driver. He knows where you are.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. And he keeps talking to me. He's like, well, I think we go to another universe. I don't know if it's this universe. And he's got his hands in his pockets. So I'm watching him very carefully. Your radar kind of goes off in New York. And I'm just ignoring him, but he won't go away. But eventually he did go away. Even though he says things like, he's like, no worries. I'm just an intelligent guy like you trying to ask you these questions. And anyways,
so it was
my car.
So it was either it was a full moon or you live in Brooklyn, one or the other.
Yeah, but I got home. I follow the blood trail that's going into my building, which I saw earlier. I saw blood drippings earlier, and I got into the building, and the maintenance guy was mopping up the floor. And I'm like, well, somebody walked in here dripping blood. There was a bloody fingerprint on the stairwell door. So I go in, and there's a homeless woman I've met before. She's in the little area before you get into the building. And I just say hi to her, and I go in, and then I come out to walk Soul, my dog, and I see a piece of her clothing in the hallway, and I'm like, well, she's in the building somewhere. I guess she wants to. It was 22 degrees out, so I feel bad.
Yeah.
She's probably in the stairwell sleeping, so I walk the dog. Of course, when I come back in to go to the elevator, she pops out of the stairwell, acting a little freaked out. And my dog, as I've told you, is a rescue dog, and she's freaking out, my dog, because she's acting very erratic. And I've met her before. She has a long story to tell you. I mean, I feel bad for her. She needs mental help, I believe.
Yeah.
Whether your answer is, okay, I'll give you some money, or won't give you money, she wants to tell you a long story that I've never been able to keep track of. But she held the elevator button after I got on. She knew enough. She's not, you think people don't know what's going on, but she pushed the button to help keep me from leaving. And was terrifying my dog and telling me her story. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. But finally, the elevator has an alarm that goes off, and it shut on her. You can't hold the button too long.
Oh, okay.
So since then, my dog Soul has been afraid of the stairwell doorway.
Oh boy,
she thinks it.
Thanks, lady.
I feel bad. I've encountered her many times, and she has a long story to tell. And
well, maybe and I don't want to sound, like. She'll be gone, but maybe when the warmer weather comes, she'll be.
She often has a good change of clothing, so maybe she lives somewhere. But then it became super nice out, 70 degrees, and we got ourselves the little camera to watch your house because our dog was crate trained. Because we don't know what she's like. Whether we leave the house, she's going to tear everything up. She's in a large crate, which is not a thing you do forever. So we got the camera, and we decided to go down the street and have a drink and watch the camera and see what she does. And so basically she slept most of the time. We found out about this whole camera idea because some neighbors of ours, I don't remember why they were suspicious of their dog walker, but something was going on, and they got a camera to see what was happening when the dog walker was there. And it turns out when their dog walker was there, he was taking a break at their house and doing lines of cocaine on their coffee table. So they had to fire
and
that.
Didn't have the decency to leave any for them. You know what? I'd be outraged too. I would. I'd be like, come on, dude, you're using my coffee table. Leave me a couple lines. Oh, boy. There you go. So I wonder if this was before or after he walked the dog. Because, you really want your dog walker to be coked up when he's taking your dog down the street,
This week, what are we going to talk about? I picked it.
You picked it.
Oh, let me ask you a question then.
Mm-hmm.
What does John Lennon, David Bowie, Meatloaf, The Love Boat, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, and the Muppet Movie all have in common?
Gee whiz, my gosh. The Boy in the Plastic. Was all the music done by Mr. Paul Williams?
Well, and another man.
Oh, yes. Wait, I've got it written.
Wait, John. The answer is those things are all filthy. John Lennon's lyrics are always about dirty stuff. David Bowie, Meatloaf, The Love Boat. Love Boat was full of salmonella poisoning. And
this is your producer, Miss Lee. This is a terrible joke. Awful. Start again. Cue the theme song. It's the Seti Bimco Show with Tim and John, blah, blah, blah.
So what, we have to start over? You're starting the theme music again? Is this what we're doing, John?
I guess so, yeah. We'll start the theme music all over again.
Miss Lee wants, that's what we have to do. But we'll do it quick.
Right, and here's the thing, the musicians union is going to charge us overtime.
I know. But I did the music, John. You forget.
Well, but still, we got to hire we have to hire the orchestra, the Seti Bimco Orchestra.
We didn't get to lead in with some mod facts.
Oh, we didn't.
We'll do this really quick. Did you notice in the intro of Maude, they show cars driving out to, where did Maude live? Tuckahoe. The cars are up from the 50s, and I read that's because that's leftover footage from the All in the Family intro. Those were the days they were going to show old cars.
Okay.
Because the intro to shows back then were super cheap. Today the intro to shows, they have CG special effects. I don't know if you've seen the beginning of Game of Thrones, and
I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones.
Wow, they're very complex. All these shows have complex intros. I mean, if you watch the early episodes of Happy Days, it's just film. It's a close-up of Elvis's pelvic area gyrating. Just the first season of Happy Days. You remember that? That's all they used.
I vaguely remember. I remember the jukebox.
No jukebox. It was just Elvis's pelvic region gyrating all the time. That's all they showed.
Right. That's all it was. That's all they showed the whole season. As a matter of fact, the working title was Elvis's pelvis. Was the working title of the show. That's right. I had read that somewhere. And
we went over our weeks. You had your week. Anything else happen that you forgot to tell me about?
What week is this? I can't remember.
It's the week I told you I was left out freezing in the cold. The subway broke down. And I did
that's right.
I did forget to tell you that as I was standing by the road, it was a street where the cars were all very slow, and you could look at people in the cars. And I was out there with my fingers freezing, and a woman drove by, and she was enjoying her ice cream cone in her nice warm car. And it enraged me so much. I wanted to.
She did that. She did that on purpose. She's like, "Look, we're going to drive really slowly, past freezing people."
She looked at
me
in
our warm car, and we're going to.
She looked at me.
I'm going to get a double scoop.
Looked at me and smiled.
She knew what she was doing.
Who drives with ice cream? Do you drive with ice cream? How can you watch the road and make sure you don't get a Jackson Pollock piece of artwork on your pants with it dripping everywhere?
I don't know. Some people have 7-course meals in the car. I never really ate in the car.
What else was there? Okay, I think that was it.
I think that was it.
But I do want to say they are not a sponsor, but we're using Riverside FM to record this, and it's so much better because
it is.
I'm able to edit out your coughing and your squeaky chair. Because you have a trademark squeaky chair that you bought.
No, do I? Well, now I've put the office chair in here.
I take out all my coughs and your coughs and all my ums, and then I take out the stuff you say that I don't like, and then I take out all the stuff I say that I don't like. Basically, the podcast is 5 minutes of us breathing, and that's about the best you can do with this.
Which is about 90% of what I say. I had some really offensive comments about the Amish, but I'm afraid I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that Amish audience.
No,
so I'm just going to keep them to myself.
You want to be able to go to Pennsylvania again?
Oh heck, they're right outside of town. The Amish.
That's right. They're in New York State too. I forgot.
Oh yeah, over by Penn Yan. I always see, like, we have a lot of Amish come in and a lot of Mennonites come in to the store. And I always think, like, what do the Amish think when they see the Mennonites? Like, I think they think amateurs. And I'll bet she doesn't even own a butter churn.
That's some deep cuts, John.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know if our audience knows the subtle differences between Amish and the Mennonites.
Well, this is why it's an educational program. You can go look that up.
I know all the differences, but do you know the differences, John? Can you explain?
Oh, of course I know the differences.
Which one owns a TV?
The Mennonites. Oh,
do they really? Do they really?
Yes. I don't know if they own. Do they own TVs? I don't know. I've never been invited into a Mennonite.
I thought you were going to say neither of them owned a TV.
I don't know. I know the Mennonites have cars, electricity.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I thought
they have
neither.
The cars. They have the electricity.
Well, that's weird.
I don't know if they own, but maybe they don't own TVs. I don't know. I mean, what would they watch?
Well, they want to watch Star Trek, right? Like all of us.
Like all of us. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that was big with the Mennonite community in the 60s. It was their base audience, actually. Had it not been for the Mennonites, it would have been canceled after the first season.
Well, this episode, we were trying to do an episode about how much we love Paul Williams and Kenneth Asher. And no matter what jokes we made, I do sincerely love his music, both their music. I know you're... do you like them too? Okay. That's your official stance?
Well, when you realize what Paul Williams actually wrote, you think, I didn't realize that Paul Williams won Album of the Year with Daft Punk back in, was it 2013?
I didn't know that either.
He actually made the speech. He actually accepted the Grammy. It was he and Nile Rodgers from Chic and the two Daft Punk guys with their helmets on. Of course, they never say anything. And he gives the acceptance speech, and he's saying, I got a message from two robots, and they wanted to thank, and it's Paul Williams.
Did you find this on YouTube?
I found this on YouTube, yeah.
Why didn't you send it to me, John?
I didn't think about it. I'm sorry. It's been a very rough week with daylight savings time and everything.
Boy, I'm glad I got Riverside FM because I'm just gonna cut that out. You made me look bad.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about it.
And he wrote a song with the Scissor Sisters, and I emailed that to you.
Yes, you did. You did.
Are you a fan of the Scissor Sisters?
I do like the Scissor Sisters. Yeah. My musical taste is pretty eclectic.
Okay, stop bragging.
No, I'm not bragging. I'm just, it's weird. Like, I'll listen to Alison Krauss and Union Station, bluegrass.
Oh, yeah.
Then I'll switch over to, I've got a lot of Cannonball Adderley, who was a jazz musician.
Okay.
I have a lot of him on vinyl.
Okay.
And then I'll be listening to, I don't know, Kylie Minogue, a little bit of pop, and then I'll be listening to...
You tune into the Ithaca College Station? That's what I used to listen to. ICBM.
I can't get it this far up.
Oh, you can get it on the internet, John.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. I guess I can.
Even I can listen.
I guess I can. I'm sorry. You can edit that out too. No, keep it in. Let them know what an old fuddy-duddy I am. I didn't even think about that.
So, John, what does John Lennon, David Bowie, Meatloaf, The Love Boat, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, and the Muppet Movie have in common?
Would that be Mr. Asher?
And Paul Williams.
And Paul Williams?
Yes. I have no joke for that. I'm not going to try again before Miss Lee cuts us off. I tried so hard to have a joke for that, but I don't have a joke. But if I knew this, if I heard this when I was 12, it would have blown my mind that, like, no, Meatloaf, he doesn't hang out with people who do Muppet Movie albums. If he came to my house, I would hide the Muppet Movie album that I owned, and I would say, yeah, my Bat Out of Hell album, it's out in the shop for repairs. I just don't have it right now.
But then you think of the number of guest stars they had on The Muppet Show. I think Alice Cooper did an episode of The Muppet Show.
He did, yeah. And so did the Village People.
Yeah, so I mean, there were a lot of Muppet fans out there. Like, the Muppets transcended all that back in the 70s. They really did. Diana Ross did an episode of The Muppet Show.
We'll talk about The Muppet Show later.
Okay,
You're getting ahead. I have a feeling we're going to talk about that again.
We are going to talk about that again, probably. No, but Paul Williams wrote We've Only Just Begun, The Carpenters, which was the follow-up to Close to You. And it was actually a commercial for the Crocker Bank of California. He had written it as a jingle Richard Carpenter heard the song. Richard Carpenter he wasn't a very great songwriter, but he was a very good arranger.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, let's record this song. We've only just begun, and they, played it at weddings for decades. Yeah, he co-wrote that.
But recently, I think it was 2007, he wrote Happy Days the Musical. Were you aware of this?
I was vaguely aware that there was going to be a Happy Days the Musical, but, in this age of information overload, I sometimes have problems following up things.
But wouldn't Happy Days the Musical just be Grease?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Seems...
Or it was Happy Days, the non-musical version of Grease.
Yeah, it was The people who grew up in the 50s were they were like 35 to 40 at the time, and they were like, yay, Happy Days. But those people are now, I figured it out, they're all like 100 right now. So they're not going to go out and see Happy Days the Musical.
Well, they might go to the Wednesday matinee. Never.
Maybe.
If you go to Broadway, never go to a Wednesday matinee. That's when all the old folks' homes come.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that.
I can't hear. What? What did she say? I don't like this music.
So you went once?
I've been a couple times, yeah.
Did you take your mom? Is that why you went, or you just happened to be there? And that's
I just happened to be there. I think that's where I happened to get tickets.
Okay. What were they all going to see?
Maybe I was only in the city for a day. This was way back when. Maybe I was only in the city for a day, or maybe an overnight.
I heard that's also Lincoln Center. If you go to a matinee movie at Lincoln Center, you'll end up with the senior crowd.
Yeah, there you go.
I've never done that.
There you go. So, well, I love the show. Show. The show was always, I would watch that every...
American TV wouldn't give him a show, and if you didn't know, and he went to England, made a show, and it was syndicated all around at different times. So I missed a lot of them because I never knew when it was going to be on.
But where I lived, it had a permanent home. They actually, so I could catch it every week. I knew what time it would be on.
Now, did you ever see Bugsy Malone? Wait, was it Bugsy Malone?
Bugsy with Warren Beatty?
Just a minute. No, it's called Bugsy Malone. It was the movie where it was all kids, and they would shoot. They had a machine gun, but it would shoot cream puffs. Do you remember this movie?
No, can't say. I would remember that. No, I can't say.
Oh, my God, John. I figured when I mentioned this, you were going to say yes, because Paul Williams wrote the music for that. And I never saw it either, and I started playing the songs, and I was like, oh, John's heard this. John loves these songs. Damn it. Why didn't I email you?
I'm sorry. You see,
wait until you go on YouTube and play the songs from Bugsy Malone.
I will.
So Paul Williams wrote them also.
No,
it may not. Well, it's starring. Well, one person you may like. It's starring Scott Baio. That one person you may like. Very young Scott Baio and a very young Jodie Foster. Young Jodie Foster.
Does not ring a bell. Although I may see it and go, oh yeah, I do remember it. But no, that does not. I think I'd remember cream puffs coming out of guns.
So Muppets. Well, let me start with what I don't like, because there's very little. I'll get it out of the way. When I listened to Bugsy Malone, he wrote. Oh, you're gonna hear my paper.
That's all right. We can't afford a cue card guy, so you gotta shuffle the papers. It's all right.
He wrote 10 songs for Bugsy Malone, a TV movie. And the Muppet movie only got 6 original songs. If you listen to the actual album, there are 2 songs on the Muppet movie album that are instrumentals. There's one song that's America the Beautiful.
Right.
And Never Before, Never Again, which is Frank Oz singing Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy.
You hear it once and laugh about it. And I remember when I owned the album, I was like, I don't need to hear this again. I always skip that song.
I was kind of like, and I don't know if that was the order they were played in the film, but they were on the soundtrack. At least what I heard, they were back. It's number 3 and 4 I've got. So you didn't like the instrumentals?
Well, what I'm saying is, did they not have the budget to write like 2 more songs? Because again, Bugsy Malone, they got 10 songs.
Maybe it's just a matter of the time they had to work with. Maybe they could only fit. Maybe the script was stronger in the Muppet movie than it was in Bugsy Malone. I mean, you can only show so many scenes of cream puffs coming out of machine guns, and you're kind of like, okay, no, we're just going to put a song in here. No, put the machine gun away. Put the cream puffs away. We're going to put a song in here, Scott.
I found an interview with Paul Williams, and he said it was great working with Jim Henson. He'd asked him to write the songs, and Jim Henson was like, Paul Williams was like, I'll show you as we're working on this what they're like. And I guess Jim Henson said, no, I trust you. Just when you're done with them, bring them in. And he's right. He is right, but I wish maybe he'd been a little more of a taskmaster and said, maybe one more song. So that's my very small complaint. And
maybe they couldn't come up with any more. Maybe that's why there's the instrumental and America the Beautiful.
When you get a chance to hear Bugsy Malone, listen to the song and called "Give a Little Love." It starts off with the same piano riff as the Magic Store finale, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying when you hear this song, you'll hear the same little riff.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's not a complaint. That's me.
That's just an observation.
It is.
So, of course, the showstopper song is the Rainbow Connection.
Right.
Got nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song. It lost to the theme from Norma Rae, which is a song called "It Goes As It Goes." Tim, can you hum us a few bars of "It Goes As It Goes"?
I think so.
Can you really? Okay, good. Because I can't. The theme of Norma Rae.
Let me drink some water
and figure it out. Yeah. So, why? The Academy? Who knows? But
was that the name of the movie, Norma Rae?
Remember Norma Rae? Sally Field won her first Oscar for it.
Oh my God!
She was the union organizer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a union organizer somewhere down south, I believe it was.
But that wasn't the name of the movie, was it?
Norma Rae was the name of the movie.
Really? No, I thought the union organizer movie was called.
Are you thinking of Silkwood with Meryl Streep?
Yeah.
Okay. No, this is a totally different movie.
Or I'm thinking of Chinatown.
Oh, okay.
Or I'm thinking of Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy. Yes. Yes.
How long can I try?
The Mechanical Bull operators.
Yes.
Needed to unionize.
They needed to unionize
because people like John Travolta were getting on it all the time.
Breaking the bull,
and then they got to fix it, and they're like, no more. We can't take it anymore. And
there's a big strike.
So there's a big strike until either you learn how to fix the bull or you don't ride it, son.
And so a bunch of them went out to upstate New York, found a real bull. And they said, we don't need a union.
There you go.
And John Travolta
joined Scientology.
All right, I guess we strung out as far as we could.
And lived a very happy life as a heterosexual man.
Right.
Yeah. But I did want to say something about the Rainbow Connection now. The Rainbow Connection reached number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. However, that was not the highest charting song that Jim Henson recorded as a Muppet character. Do you know the highest rated song that Jim Henson recorded as a Muppet character?
The highest? What is the Muppet character? Oh, was it Not Easy Being Green?
That's what I would have thought, which I thought was a lovely song. No, I don't know where that got on the charts. I don't think it even made the top 40. Rubber Ducky by Ernie.
Oh, my God.
Got to number 6. Got to number 16, yeah.
Wait, let me guess the year. Was it 1971?
Somewhere, 70, 71, yeah, somewhere around there, yeah. So probably people were doing Disco Biscuits and, put Rubber Ducky on.
Give me a point for getting the year right.
There you go. You get a point. There you go.
One point for me. I'm going to have a question for you next week about the Greek gods.
So, oh, my gosh.
Now, were you a fan of Emmett Otter?
Of who? Apparently not. What? Who?
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. You do not watch this every Christmas? Because
was that a Muppet?
Yeah.
I do vaguely remember that. Yes, I do. I do vaguely remember that. Yes, I do.
Paul Williams wrote the songs for that. You can probably find it on YouTube. Well, I thought you would have been a fan of that.
All right. I vaguely recall it. I don't know. I had a fight for TV time.
What did your brother want? What did your brother want to watch?
Oh, probably Emergency.
Really? That's your brother? Oh,
remember Emergency? Well, I'm talking about my brother Chris.
What was the name of the? Wasn't it Johnny Longtooth? Was that
Johnny Randolph Mantooth was the actor? Johnny Gage. Johnny Gage. Right. He played Johnny Gage, and then his partner was Roy DeSoto.
He was in a movie called Party Line, I believe. One of the people from Emergency.
Oh, okay. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they did other things. Yeah.
You should not watch that.
I will put that on my no-see list. Thank you for that. Don't watch Party. Let me write that down here real quick. Don't. Now, see, now you're telling me not to watch it. And one night, I'm going to be flipping through channels, be like, Party Line. It's like, where have I heard this before? Good movie.
When were their last Party Lines? It's dated because it's about someone calling people on party lines, like, let's meet and have a date, but he's murdering them, that kind of thing.
Oh, that kind of party line, like 1-800, let's hook up, yeah.
Let's get back to Muppets.
Let's get back to the Muppets.
It's hard talking about music, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
Because we can't play any music.
No, we can't. We can't even, according to Miss Lee, our producer, we can't even hum anything.
No.
Oh, man.
You got in trouble for that.
I know. I'm waiting for the bill from Howard Jones.
Paul Williams has a Twitter page, and did you know there was actually a Paul Williams 7-Eleven Slurpee cup in 1975?
No.
Yeah, if you check his Twitter, you'll see it. And did you see Phantom?
They're sort of sitting around the boardroom of 7-Eleven. It's like, I've got it. A Slurpee cup with Paul Williams on it.
Well, he was well known. He's in.
Okay.
He was in Planet of the Apes. You realize that? Did you find that in your research?
Which Planet of the Apes was he in?
He was.
It must have been a cameo.
All right, I'm going to cut out the fact I'm looking through pages. I know I wrote this down. He was in. He was like one of the blonde orangutans.
Oh. So I wonder if it was like Battle for the Planet of the Apes or Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. He's probably in one of those.
Let's go.
It was probably like number 4. It was probably like the Battle for the Planet of the Apes or Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
And he was in Phantom of the Paradise. Did you ever see this movie?
I did, yes. I do remember that movie.
That's a cult classic that I've never seen. Yes, it is.
Yes, no, I saw it.
So let's move on to Kenneth Asher.
Yes, what about Kenneth Asher?
We're killing it.
We are killing it. We are slaying this.
I'll just edit this in to make me sound smart.
Oh, I see. Would you extend the same courtesy to me? Probably not.
Yes.
I'd say, Tim.
I've done that to you.
Could you put this in and make me sound smart? You'd be like, no, sorry, can't do it.
I've done that.
No, I don't believe you.
So much.
I don't believe you.
Paul Williams, orangutan, Virgil, intellectual orangutan, Virgil.
Was that the one where, I think that was the one where John Huston played the lawgiver. In the very beginning, he was in the opening scene and he's talking to the human children. There were human and ape children. And then he was in the last scene.
I don't remember my ape movies that well.
He was also in orangutan.
Claude Akins was in it.
Yeah, he played the gorilla.
Paul Williams. John Huston, yes.
John Huston, yes. I think he was the lawgiver.
And Roddy McDowell, of course.
Roddy McDowell was in all of them except Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So Mr. Asher, we're going to talk about Mr. Asher. So.
Mr. Asher helped arrange some of John Lennon's songs.
I do remember reading that, yes.
He helped arrangements for Mind Games, Walls and Bridges, Rock and Roll, Yoko Ono's A Story, Barbra Streisand's remake of A Star is Born. Paul Williams, he did the voice of the Penguin in the Batman animated series.
Did he really? Now, see, I did not know that.
Well, then he was in Smoking the Bandit.
Yeah.
But yes, he was always on TV in the 70s. He had the long hair. He was kind of like this quintessential hippie-looking guy.
Right. He was a very, how do I want to put this delicately, a very diminutive man. How about the drummer, Jim Gordon, who appeared on the soundtrack, who, like you do, heard voices. This was like 1983. Like you do, you hear voices, and you beat your mother with a hammer, and then stab her multiple times, and she dies. It happens. So he's like in He's a guest of the state of California, Vacaville. Yeah, he's like in the psychiatric ward. He was one of 2 drummers. I don't know what tracks he was on. I couldn't find that out.
Wow.
Yeah, but it happens. Apparently he dated Rita Coolidge in the early 70s, and she broke up with him because backstage he punched her in the face.
Wow.
Yeah, so not a really nice guy, but apparently he couldn't help it.
This is.
I'm sorry. Did I offend the murderer? I'm sorry. Did I offend?
We're supposed to be laughing about fun stuff. I'm the one that usually brings things to a screeching halt. Everybody on Maude was okay, right? Just tell me that.
Everybody. Well,
they died of natural causes.
Apparently, though, no. As I understand, they did have to cut out the scene on the Oregon episode because I think Bill Macy was asking for too much money, and his contract was still in negotiation. So there is a scene where Maude comes down while Walter's at the organ, and she beats him to death with a hammer and then stabs him multiple times. But then they did come to an agreement, and before the episode aired, so they just cut that scene out.
I thought that'd be a 2-part special.
It would be. Well,
Walter's in the hospital.
It was going to be a 2-part special, but yeah. And then Walter would have died, and then she just would have gone on to husband number 5.
Speaking of Muppets, when they made the newer movies, and I was sharing an art studio, and there were a lot of different artists that worked in the building we worked in, and down the hall there was a person who made puppets. This is a job, and she was always busy. I was kind of like, this is cool. You're making puppets for shows, like Broadway kid shows. When I say Broadway kid shows, I mean there are Broadway shows directed at kids. That's big business. Well, she got called away to make one of the new Muppet movies. They go out and grab all the people. They're like, we need you to make Muppets. And she said this was kind of mean, and I'm not going to mention any names so nobody knows who I'm talking about, but one of the stars of one of these newer Muppet movies, these are the ones made by Disney, they had to make a Muppet of it was kind of like a Muppet version of the main star of the movie. They told her, give him a big red nose because he's an alcoholic and he's got a red nose. And
wow.
She was
I'm going to be like looking through all the.
This is kind of no. She's just like, that was kind of mean. They did that, but
yeah, that is kind of mean. They did that.
There's my gossip. There's my Muppet gossip.
No, but you really didn't give anything up. Like if it was real gossip, you would have named names.
No,
right down to how much they drank a day.
Right.
Yeah. You're you only tell half the tale, Tim. So I don't know if it's gossip, just not so much as innuendo, maybe.
He would go down to the bar with the mechanical bull with John Travolta.
Yes, with John Travolta. They had a very solid heterosexual male relationship.
This is all about the Muppets.
Yeah, the Muppet Movie Soundtrack. Yeah. Wow, we did get off on what you call a tangent.
So that Love Boat theme. How does that stand up to all his other songs?
Exciting. Oh, geez, here we go. I'm singing the thing. There we go. Miss Lee. Oh, I know, Miss Lee. Yes, Miss Lee. I know. You don't have to tell me. Don't be singing the. Although apparently when my mother was pregnant with me, she and one of her friends were in some department store in Manhattan. And Jack Jones, who sang the Love Boat theme, was buying the engagement ring for Jill St. John, who he was married to.
You know who sang the theme, Jack Jones.
Jack Jones, yeah. I only know because my mother said, that's Jack Jones. And when I was pregnant with you and we were in the Bronx, I had gone down to Manhattan with a friend and we were, I don't know if they were at Tiffany's or Saks or I don't know where they were, but they were just getting closer so they could look at the ring.
I see.
That's my connection to Jack Jones and the Love
What
Boat.
is he known? Why did they know him? What is he known for beyond Love Boat theme?
I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he was big. Like, what do you know about Eddie Fisher? He married Liz Taylor, and he's Carrie Fisher's father.
Paul Williams was almost the member of a fairly popular band.
Is it the Monkees? No, because I just think everybody auditioned for them. Stephen Stills auditioned for the Monkees. The prefab.
Did John Travolta?
John Travolta would have been probably 14
How about
or 15.
Jack Jones?
Jack Jones, maybe. I thought you were going to say Jack Nicholson.
Although didn't Jack Nicholson, didn't they have that movie Head? That was, I think Jack Nicholson directed that.
We got to check this.
Director. Check that out. I think it was Jack. I think if he didn't direct it, he at least wrote the screenplay.
Head was written and produced by Jack Nicholson.
Written and produced. Okay.
Directed by
Bob Rafelson.
Rafelson?
Yeah, and that does. Oh, yeah, he did 5 Easy Pieces.
Because Davy Jones was in the Broadway
Twist.
Show.
Or Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver. Is he in the movie too?
No, because I think he was the Artful Dodger. By the time they made the movie, he was too big and too old and also too famous.
I've never watched Head. Have you watched Head?
I have watched Head. It's been a long time. But I did used to watch it.
So Muppets.
And next, so the Muppets.
We're talking about the monkeys here. You're trying to tell me something.
Oh, all those people who you were asking me about. Paul Williams tried out for the Monkees, and I was saying that Stephen Stills tried out for the Monkees. A bunch of people.
Harry Nilsson.
John
Lennon wanted Nilsson. Am I saying his name right? Harry Nilsson, who he wrote The Point, the music for The Point.
Do you want to know how I know about The Point? Go ahead, you finish.
Do you know The Point?
I know The Point because whenever I was working for Victoria Mackenzie Childs, her daughter Heather put on a production of The Point with children at the Morgan Opera House, which is above the library in Aurora.
Oh, I wonder if there's pictures.
Oh, I'm sure
there are. Did you take pictures? Did you go?
I did not take. Well, yeah.
Were you in the production?
No, I was not in the production. I went with a girl that I worked with, and I think we kind of felt like we had to go. Like they never said, but I got to think they were like ticking names off of a list, and we're like, who showed up and who didn't show up. So we showed up, and plus, it was fun. It was a little. Although I do remember like the opening scene, one of the kids, I don't know if they were playing a dog or anyway, the kid like lost his balance and like. Boom, fell on his shoulder and just like started crying.
Oh no.
Hysterically. And this is like literally 30 to 60 seconds in the show. So they had to close the curtain, calm the kid down, and then they opened the curtain, they started all over again. So that's how I know The Point.
I thought you meant they put on a production for kids, but it was all kids in the production.
It was all kids in the production.
And did they do this because her mom could afford to get the rights to the music, do you think? Who could afford to get the rights to that music?
Well, apparently they could.
He's a well-known songwriter.
He's a very well-known songwriter.
In fact, I read that John Lennon was like, could he maybe join the Beatles? And they were all like, no. Which I agree. I think that probably would have, I don't know.
Yeah.
They had their fifth Beatle already playing the piano.
Billy Preston.
Yeah.
The only one that ever got credited with him, which I think like Paul and Ringo were like, why are we doing this again? That was all George. George wanted him credited on the record.
Let's get back to Muppets.
Let's get back to the Muppets. I know, man. We keep going off topic here. There's going to be a lot of editing. So who is your favorite Muppet? Let me ask you that. Who's your favorite Muppet?
Oh, my God.
I mean, from Sesame Street, from The Muppet Show.
I would have to say Ernie, because as a child, Ernie I seem to identify with. And I had an Ernie Muppet as a child.
Did you have like the Muppet puppets that had like a vinyl head?
That's what I mean. I had that puppet.
Yeah, I had the Bert.
Oh my, you had Bert?
I had Bert.
This is amazing. Did you identify as Bert?
No, Chris wanted Ernie.
And I identified as
So Chris got Ernie and I got Bert. Again, always the second show. I had to take what was ever left over.
If your parents were willing to buy two Muppets, did it matter that they're both the same Muppet? Or was that like a whole drama?
I don't know what they're thinking. I was like 6 or 7. I didn't really ask a lot of questions, Tim.
I had friends that were brothers, and I remember it'd be a drama if they both had the same something. I had 2 brothers for friends, and I remember that drama. And the other drama was if I slept over, it was like when you're young, and I was both their friends. It'd be like, Tim gets to sleep with me in my bed. And they'll go, okay, and tomorrow night? Or next time, Tim gets to sleep with you in your bed because it's 2 brothers. But
right,
I was always terrified because he was still wetting the bed. So I'd be like,
I went through and like did like all the people who were like the Muppeteers and like the characters they did, like David Getz, who was Gonzo and Bunsen Honeydew, and then Jerry Nelson, who was Count Von Count. He did Harry Monster. Sherlock Hellenbach. Sounds like he did mostly Sesame Street characters.
I'm afraid I only know Henson and Frank Oz. I know there's more people. but I'm not a super fan.
Right? No, I get that. You wouldn't. Who would know all that? You wouldn't know. No, it was mostly
some people.
Some people would. You're right. Apparently, though, if you're in a movie that Frank Oz has directed, and if you catch him in the right mood, he will do the Yoda voice for you. Who was talking about that? I don't know. Somebody who did. Of course, he's done several films. So he was asking. They go, yeah. If you're like, if you just catch him in the right mood, and things are going well that day, and he's in a good mood.
What awful to be walking around the rest of your life with people just sitting around you thinking, I hope he does the Yoda voice.
I hope he does the Yoda voice. I hope he does the Yoda voice. Well, I remember seeing an interview with Gene Stapleton before she passed away, and they're like, "Did you do the Edith voice?" She goes, "You don't pay me enough money."
These Muppets. They were exciting to talk about, weren't they?
They were.
Oh, I forgot to mention. I named all those things that Paul Williams worked on. He wrote a song Bowie did called "Fill Your Heart" on Bowie's one of his first albums. Don't know if you're familiar with that song, but you should look that up.
I am vaguely familiar. Now, like in the case with the Carpenters, he wrote the song as a commercial, and they sort of remade it. Did he actually? I wonder if he actually specifically wrote it for Bowie, or Bowie just heard it one time and said, "I got to do this song."
Well, that's where research and homework comes in.
Okay.
I guess I didn't. I didn't do all of my homework.
Well, next time, before you put it out there, Tim, make sure you know all the facts.
Gonna edit this out.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. You have the power of the edit. That's right. I forgot. You can leave me hanging on the air, but that didn't make me sound good. We'll edit that out.
So I hope everyone enjoyed this episode where we tried to talk about Paul Williams and
Mr. Asher, Kenneth Asher.
So if you want
I want to keep saying Peter Asher, but that was the one who did all the James Taylor albums.
Oh, really? No relation?
Yeah, Jane Asher's. Jane Asher was Paul McCartney's girlfriend, and Peter Asher was her brother, and he was in Peter and Gordon, A World Without Love, and then he wound up being a big record producer. I think he did James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt. And
you are full of a lot of musical facts. I think we should have a musical quiz with you somehow when we have guests on.
Well, this is what happens when you don't date in high school.
Well, it's going to come in handy now. We're going to do something with this.
Finally, just under the wire.
And I did mention...
I got to use it.
Right. I did mention Bugsy Malone was a TV movie, but it was actually a theatrical movie. I forgot. It seemed to be on TV a lot. In all seriousness, we love Mr. Williams and Asher. If they ever want to come on this podcast, they have an open invitation. I mean, as long as they have good microphones and headphones, and if they know a little something about musical and sound engineering,
I hope so. Because we have very exacting standards. We just can't have anybody who's only been in the business for 60 years on this show.
Who do they think they are coming on the show, not knowing anything about sound levels or reverb?
Exactly.
We have standards.
Maybe we can teach them a thing or two.
Yes. Anytime they want to come on. And you can reach us.
Come on.
Send us, follow us on Twitter at SETIBIM. Instagram is SETI_BIMCO. You can send us an email message at SETIBIMCO with an E at gmail.com. You can find the email on the Twitter if you need to spell it correctly. All right, John.
Silent E, if that silent E is too confusing for you, just look on Twitter.
That's my big mistake. It's the bane of my existence, that silent E. Somebody somewhere without an E at BIMCO, they're getting all our letters and our emails.
I know, right?
Right now, we're just getting a lot of hate mail that's being directed towards John. So I don't want to read all that.
But see, I'm used to it. I have that thick skin now, so I'm really okay with it. If I wasn't getting hate mail, I'd think something was wrong.
Well, next week we're gonna meet Mr. George O'Connor and talk about the Greek gods.
Yes.
Make sure you read most of the issues of the Avengers, John. Read about up to issue 200. What?
Okay. Yeah, I've got up to issue 273, so I should be fine, right?
Yes, you should be fine.
Okay. Good.
All right. See you next.
All right, Tim. Well, I'll see you next week.
See you next week, John.
SETI Vinco is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.